was
Where are
fine.
you in figuring out your lineup Friday night, especially up front?
Still a work in progress. As you see, we even had some changes within our forward group today. I think what we're fighting through, Helene, is if we're not going to be able to find significant minutes and roles for Elmer and Joe, then we have to have that balance of it, what's going to be best for their development. So I think we're still fighting through that, and I think that's going to take a life of itself this week and even into the weekend.
How much is weighed by the fact you play back to back and might need at least one body, if not two, Saturdays?
Yeah, it could be. I think we're just so in the moment. We had a different lineup for practice today. We'll probably have a different lineup for practice tomorrow. Maybe on Thursday, you might start seeing what it might look like on Friday. And then from Friday, we'll go from there for Saturday.
So is there a chance if you determine that Valeno and Soderblom won't be in the lineup on Friday that they can be sent down?
Yeah, I think it's a day-to-day type process. Kind of my comment yesterday about the black and white of making the team at 5 o'clock on Monday. New staff, we're still evaluating. The positive is a lot of the guys had solid camps, good camps, and a lot of guys put themselves in a similar situation. Some guys probably didn't pop where no-brainer, and there was many guys on the other end that probably didn't show poorly. So for a few of these guys, we're probably still evaluating.
How'd you guys?
What do you look for in these practices leading up to that first game, especially from those young guys that would kind of push them over the top?
Well, there's been structure in our practice. There've been game-like situations. We've been breaking down some of our structure into smaller drills. So the things that we're going to look for to help us win: play away from the puck, being hard, defensive stops, being in good structure, gaps. We watched practice back yesterday as a staff, almost game-like, and the video today pre-meeting was practice clips. So I think it's been great that we have the 4 or 5 days previous to our first game. Maybe we'd like to play earlier with some rhythm, but we've had some opportunity for some hard practices, which you guys have seen the last 2 days.
What'd you guys tell them, Derek? It's like, look, just do what you can, but don't overthink it in these next couple days.
Control the things you can. I think we've been very upfront, even in the meetings with them. And again, Steve would have had a different exit meeting and communication with them, but our communication still control the things you control. So we want you as a player. But with that said, big picture, if it doesn't look like we're going to get you significant minutes and significant roles, then we would explore possibly Grand Rapids being the start form.
I guess the flip side is those top couple of forward lines have stayed pretty constant here for a little bit. What do you like about where those guys are at and how they're coming?
Yeah, still, it's probably something we envisioned through camp, and that's definitely not set in stone either. We'd like to think that it could be a look for our top 6, but again, that's still an evaluation also.
I know you said you don't want to kind of have like a third line, fourth line thing, but as you sort through, especially when there's jobs open down in the bottom half of that lineup, like, are you looking for a line to have like a real clear identity? Are you looking for complementary pieces?
I guess my comment yesterday of not having necessarily a third or fourth line, I just think the identity of our lines look different on certain nights. We want lines that can check. We want all 4 of our lines that can check. Some nights one line might be checking significantly better than another line, and that line might end up getting more minutes or being in that 3 role or even 2 role, if you will. I just think there's some luxury, some depth right now. We're still working through it as a staff, where that traditional 1, 2, 3, 4 is kind of blended all together, which you saw through most of camp, exhibition games, and even this week.
Sundquist is still. I mean, he's had 2 good practices now. He's still going to wait a couple days, see how he reacts.
Yeah, I think it's to see how he responds, his body, but even where his conditioning's at. Good day yesterday. We worked him hard. Same thing today, and you can see he was laboring a little bit towards the end of practice, which is understandable. It's just hard to get real game-like reps, which he has not had. So I think that'll be an evaluation too throughout the week.
I'd be
Derek,
happy with Bowman. I mean, it looks like he's
Yeah.
making steady progress here. It might be sooner rather than later. It looks like.
Same thing, open mind. My first looks with Wallman, obviously love the way he can skate. So for practices like that, he'll look good and pop, which is exciting. Now it's just getting him to speed. Obviously he can't hit. He's in the orange non-contact jersey today, and hopefully we'll take that next step where he'll have contact and going on from there.
Derek, is training camp an odd time for goalies because the roster's so large and can you give an early assessment or your thoughts on Ned and Willie, or not yet?
Training camp is an odd time, specifically this one, that both those guys, we specifically got them 60 minutes in their last game, but both those guys, you're almost looking over a week before they're going to see actual game action. So you can see we're trying to get game-like situations in practice, but it's hard. And as much as it's great to have that entire week before game one, you're asking goalies, to get their rhythm, get some out of their rhythm a little bit.
Are you happy with what you've seen thus far from both of them?
Absolutely. They probably reflected, most of our players and our team, some great showing, some good looks, and then some times where they probably want a goal back or not as sharp in net with maybe some rebound control. So a work in progress for them too, but we had this vision of those two having a healthy competition, and it certainly feels like it's playing out that way.
You've been pretty clear that their success depends too on how well you guys play in front of them, that when they have good games, it means you've had.
100%. I mean, that was one of the first Ned questions. I think you asked, what's it going to look like? How can we get him back to his Carolina form, if you will? And to me, we need to look like Carolina in front of him. And I think it's a work in progress. Again, there were some positives in camp. Obviously, it's only exhibition, but our 5-on-5 numbers, keeping out of the net, were very good. Now we're hoping to translate that into, obviously, real hockey on Friday.
Derek, just a real quick one on Elmer. You mentioned just the evaluation process and trying to find the role for him. It looked like he got some second unit power play time at practice today, and obviously you'd love to see him on the power play
Yes.
at the net front, right? How hard is it to evaluate that without an actual NHL game under his belt?
Difficult, but you want to get him reps and get him comfortable in those situations. You got those reps today, and again, I made that comment yesterday, and I still feel the same way. He may have put himself on the good side of that line, if you will, where we're evaluating, but now it's black and white. When we get into these games this weekend, we want him to get significant minutes, or find a role where he's going to get significant minutes, and if he's not going to be able to do that, I think it's probably be in his best interest and our best interest to get him down Grand Rapids.
Not to pin you down too much, but what does significant look like for you?
Not just a fourth line, 7-8 minute situation. That does no one any good. And that'd probably be, what that looks like game to game. Of course, it's going to look different. But, if he's going to go through moments where he's only playing 7-8 minutes in a small role, again, I don't think that is healthy for him.